the new theater of the mind. The Clown Prince of Doom. The Bruce Collins Show, daring to take radio past the point of no return.
Welcome back to the Bruce Collins Show. We're very glad to have you join us. The Bruce Collins Show normally airs every Friday night at midnight at WWPR 1490 AM. However, this episode of the Bruce Collins Show is the bonus round and features content that will never be heard on the radio. You can listen to past archives of the Bruce Collins Show at fringeradionetwork.com. That's fringeradionetwork.com. There's a tab just for the Bruce Collins Show on the Fringe Radio Network website. We would appreciate it if you're able to spread the word for our show by word of mouth, social media, or in whatever creative way you can. Also, we have a Facebook page for the Bruce Collins Show. Please like us there. And you can email the show at bruce_collins_show@AOL.com. The Bruce Collins Show also has a YouTube channel. Visit YouTube, search for the Bruce Collins Show channel, subscribe, and catch all the latest shows on YouTube. Our guest this week on the bonus round is Mark Baird. Mark is making the news in his attempt to create the 51st State of the Union, the state of Jefferson. And we're going to talk to him later in the hour. This Friday on the Bruce Collins Show on WWPR 1490 AM, we will have as our special guest Dr. Artie Six Killer Clark. And then the following week on March the 13th, Friday night at WWPR 1490, our guests are Jake the Snake Roberts and Gail Kim. We'll be devoting a full hour to salute WrestleMania, the Super Bowl of wrestling. And now let me introduce my co-host, Chad Miles. He's also a former congressional candidate in Michigan and a military veteran, and he's the founder and executive director of Sling and Stone Outfitters, a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to helping disabled veterans experience the outdoors. You can find out more information on his website, chadmiles.com. He is radio's lethal weapon, Chad Miles. Welcome to the bonus round, Chad.
Hey, here we are, the bonus round.
That's right.
My personal favorite.
That's right. Mine too. And Chad, as you know, there's a famous radio host named Alex Jones. He's syndicated all over the United States. And he has a show that is based on conspiracy theory. And I was at his website, and he was offering a workout plan on there. And so I ordered the fitness regimen, the one that Alex Jones uses. I think it's the Jumbo edition. And by the way, when the package arrived... You know, I just say anything that comes to mind. But I just remembered the package finally did arrive. It took several days. And I opened it, and I found out there were only 2 exercise routines that were featured in the workout plan. The first one is called Stretching the Truth, and the other one is Jumping to Conclusions. I figure if it works for him, maybe it will work for me too. By the way,
I don't think it works very well for him. He's kind of heavy, but
yeah. And by the way, one of our former guests, Boomer the dog, had an accident last week. He got a drink of water, the toilet seat fell down and smacked him on the top of his head. His friends say he's okay, but he doesn't want anyone to pat the top of his head right now. Hey, Chad, do we have any news this week?
Boomer. Yes.
We do.
Yes, we do. And here's the first item of news, Bruce.
Okay.
You know, I spent hours and hours going through news sources to find only the best.
Perusing
news articles.
Perusing, are you?
Perusing the internet. And that's a lot harder than it sounds.
It is.
So, here we go. For a brief period in 1951 and 1952, an educational kit, the Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab, was for sale in the United States, even though it came with testable samples of 4 types of uranium ore and 3 different radiation sources, alpha, beta, and gamma. A surviving copy of the kit has been on display recently at the Ulster Museum in Belfast, Northern Ireland, but the radioactive materials had to be removed before the kit could be shipped to Belfast. The kit had failed to sell well. Kids apparently preferred the company's erector sets. And that's from BBC News. from February 16th.
So apparently they didn't know that these things were dangerous for kids?
If you're sending children uranium ore, it may be a little on the dangerous side. And by the way, the Gilbert Atomic Energy Lab has no affiliation or connection to Derek Gilbert or Sharon Gilbert.
Yeah, of course.
I just want to make that clear.
Yes, this is an actual news story. We're not joking around about.
Correct. This is an actual news story from the BBC, a reputable news source.
Yeah, you can actually Google this and find that it's true. But, I remember there was a song back then, if you're glowing and you know it, clap your hands. That's right.
Woo!
Yeah. I wonder how long it took them. The kit failed to sell well. That's a miracle in itself. I mean, God was really looking out for some people's families.
How many kids got sick?
Yeah.
And I'm laughing. Hopefully no children died from this. I mean, it's uranium ore they're playing with.
Yeah.
That's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, and kids are dangerous in general. I remember when I was a kid, I used to have the little firecrackers that you weren't supposed to have, and I stuck them in I don't know why. My grandparents were visiting Tucson, Arizona from the Bay Area, and my grandfather and I were in my brother's bedroom watching wrestling, and then I walked out, and I went in my bedroom, and I had this. Remember, you used to have model cars that were made out of plastic?
Yeah.
And I built this model car. Well, I was going to destroy it by lighting a firecracker and putting it in the car. And I lit the firecracker, and no sooner had I dropped the car, and it was maybe an inch from my hands, that it blew up. Scared my grandfather. He walked away, but I almost blew my fingers off. I mean, I was fortunate. So you can only imagine what I would have done if my parents would have bought me uranium ore. Oh, and then another time with firecrackers, you know how they smell. And as a kid, I thought that gunpowder smelled really good. So, or whatever's in there. And I stuck it up in my nose, the firecracker. Well, wasn't thinking that the bottom part of the firecracker was open, and I snorted that stuff into my nose, and I could taste it going down my throat.
That explains a lot.
It does, doesn't it? Anyway, let's move on, shall we?
Hey, Bruce, listen to this.
Okay.
If you're in pain, shouting, ow, has measurable therapeutic value. Writing recently in the Journal of Pain, there's a Journal of Pain.
Yeah.
Writing recently in the Journal of Pain, researchers from the National University of Singapore hypothesized that the muscle movements and vocalizing somehow divert or confuse pain signals which otherwise would go unimpeded to the brain. Of subjects who plunged their hands into extremely cold water, those who were allowed to vocalize kept their hands immersed for up to 3 minutes longer than those who were silent. The ow sound is similar in many languages and is apparently instinctive from birth. And that's a story from the International Business Times from February 2nd.
Journal of Pain. Wow, that would be a fun thing to subscribe to, wouldn't it?
Isn't that something you would tell somebody, like if you were talking trash? Like, I contribute to the Journal of Pain.
Yeah.
And you will too.
Yeah, and like wasn't it the police that they said that there was a king of pain? I
think Sting said that.
Back in the 80s.
King of pain!
Yeah. So if you say ow...
Hey, so if I say ow whenever I'm around you, Bruce, the pain will be lessened.
I'm not sure, but I think I was just insulted.
I know you were.
So let's move on. A company called AudioQuest believes there are serious music listeners sufficiently grossed out by the imperfect sound delivered by ordinary Ethernet cables, typically with plastic connectors on each end and selling for around $20. That relief is needed. The company recently introduced the Cat6 Ethernet cable, whose connectors are made of silver. For those who require the reportedly richer sound, relief is only $10,500 away. Can you believe that? That's like a serious investment.
For a cable.
Yeah, made of silver.
$10,500. for a cable.
That's right. Well,
I saw something online today that said that we will soon, in the next few years, have the first trillionaire.
Wow.
On the planet.
Well, maybe he can afford those.
I can't even imagine that.
Well, maybe he can afford those cables.
That would be nothing for a trillionaire.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Now, if anyone would like the audio quality of this program to go up, please donate for our Silver Connector Fund.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey,
and if I happen to go on vacation right after you make your donation, please do not connect the dots thinking that I spent your money on a trip. I'm really going to buy those Ethernet cables eventually.
After I get back from Hawaii.
That's right.
Hey, Bruce. Robert,
I noticed
Michael.
you hesitated like you couldn't remember my name. Hey, what's your name again there, buddy?
Ow.
Yeah, my name's Owl. Al.
Ow.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel better now.
That's right.
Hey, Robert Michael Phillips, which I know is not your name.
No, but serial killers always come in names of 3.
Yeah, it's like John Wilkes Booth.
Yeah, John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Hey, his name is my name too.
That's right. Whenever we go out, we hear all the people shout, "Ow!"
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
I thought they shouted "Ow."
Ow.
Yeah.
Robert Michael Phillips was arrested in West Palm Beach, Florida in February and faces a series of charges after police witnessed him allegedly conducting a drug transaction and found heroin in his pocket and crack cocaine in his vehicle. His rap sheet includes 7 convictions and a prison stint. On his February police intake form under occupation, Phillips stated, "drug dealer."
What an idiot.
That's from the Palm Beach Post.
That reminds me of one time I saw this case where this lady was, I think she was mugged and they took her purse and they caught the guys and they were in the trial and the lady was on the stand and the prosecutor was talking to the lady on the stand who was mugged and he says, are the 2 perpetrators in the courtroom today? And the 2 guys that were sitting at the defense table raised their hand and go, "Yeah, we're here." And that really happened. Okay, we always love good crime idiot/idiot stories. So, Chad, do you have one more crime story? Those are the best.
As a matter of fact, I do.
Good.
John Balmer, 50, was arrested at Kmart in Hudson, Florida in January as he attempted to pass a bag allegedly containing marijuana and methamphetamine to another person in line. Balmer was wearing a T-shirt that read, "Who needs drugs?" above lettering that read, "No, seriously."
Talk about giving yourself away. Oh, man. And just the idea that it was at Kmart, that's another beautiful thing, too.
Yeah, I almost couldn't read it after Kmart. That was funny enough for me.
And what? It doesn't say, like, the person wanted drugs. It just says he's passing it to somebody in line.
With a shirt that says, "Seriously, I have drugs."
I swallowed, bro. Oh, man, that's horrible. I'm gonna have to decompose myself here. Okay, so what? I kept interrupting you. Could you read what the shirt said again? Oh, man. Whew.
Balmer.
I got tears in my eyes.
Balmer was wearing a T-shirt that read, "Who needs drugs?" above lettering that read, "No, seriously, I have drugs."
Whew. And that actually happened. That actually was reported in our stomping grounds, Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay Times, on January 6th.
You know what? If you go to the Bruce Collins Show Facebook page, I will post a picture of this T-shirt so you can see it.
Oh, you've actually seen it, huh?
I will find it.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but this story demands a post on Facebook.
I'm dying. Whew. Boy.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you will see this T-shirt.
You know what's interesting is they said he was 50. Oh, no, he wouldn't be old enough. I was connecting the dots with the first story. If he had been born between 1951 and 1952, he may have had a Gilbert atomic energy. That could be the problem, you know.
Actually, we should probably make some more connections to that because that could explain some things in the world, I think.
Yeah, let's go back and see everybody that was a kid in 1951.
All the politicians who fall into that.
Yeah, exactly.
Into that category.
Whew, that was something else.
That was a good story.
I really coughed and laughed more than I have in ages. Half the time it was fun, and the other half I was saying, ow.
Ow. I mean, what's better than dumb criminals? I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I think that makes the show whenever we have stories about dumb criminals. They're the best.
They are the best.
They're the best, but let's keep them incarcerated nonetheless. They can do their jokes for the prison repertory theater. Anyways.
Yeah, maybe they'll have a talent show behind bars.
Yeah, kind of like they did on that Muppet movie last year.
I didn't see the Muppet movie.
Oh, okay. Well, I did. Should I be admitting that? I better stop while I'm ahead. Okay, so our episode this... Oh, by the way, I should thank you, Chad. Thank you, Chad, for joining us again on the bonus round.
Hey, thanks, Bruce. It's great to be here and share stories of dumb criminals with you.
Yeah, stories that make me cough up a lung.
Hey, you only live... YOLO, baby!
Yeah. Ow! And up next, Mark Baird, and he is trying to create a 51st state. He's had some obstacles, but he's also made a little bit of progress in working on the state of Jefferson, the 51st state. In a moment. And joining me this week, it's my honor to welcome Mark Baird. Mark Baird is the leading grassroots advocate and spokesman for the state of Jefferson. And you might be asking, what is the state of Jefferson? The state of Jefferson will be the 51st state if Mark Baird has anything to say about it. And the state of Jefferson is a group of people who are fighting to take a handful of counties in Northern California and to become their own state. Mark Baird, welcome to the Bruce Collins Show.
Hey, Bruce, thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be on with you.
And now it's great to have you on. Now, before we talk about the state of Jefferson, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I can. I am a recently retired 747 captain. I've flown internationally for the last 25 years. I'm a rancher in Siskiyou County, California, and I'm also a small business owner.
Excellent. Now, how did this endeavor to create a 51st state come about?
It's interesting. We heard a talk that Assemblyman Stan Statham gave, and he almost got this done in 1992. His bill passed the Assembly, but because of a personal political problem with the Senate Pro Tem, it never made it out of committee in the Senate. And so we were standing there, a few of us, after this talk, and I said, well, are we going to do something about this, or are we going to just go have an ice cream and say, boy, wasn't that a great meeting? And that's where I wrote the first declaration for Siskiyou County, and that was passed by the Board of Supervisors September 3rd of 2013, and we have 7 counties now, and we have committees in 20 counties.
Okay, so folks in Tampa might be wondering why are you doing this? What is the reason that you're trying to separate from California?
We have no representation. The northern third of California has exactly 6 state-level representatives. The southern 2/3 of California has 114. We're taxed, but we have no say over how the money is spent. We can't do the simplest things in our counties to affect our economy or change our lives. We have no one to appeal to. Just an example of that, my county shares a state senator with 11 other counties. The county of Los Angeles has 11 senators.
What has been your actions and contributions to this cause so far?
What we did was we wrote a declaration and petition to withdraw from the state of California because of lack of representation. And what we're doing is we're using Article 4, Section 3 of the United States Constitution, something the founders must have foreseen, to add new states or to separate states in the event that need arose. And we're using that declaration to get support from local governments or people in counties to indicate that they want to join the new state, and we record those declarations with the state of California. Once we have enough to make a state viable, we're going to ask for legislation to separate.
And I see that you're saying this is not secession, it's an Article 4, Section 3 process. Can you expand on that?
Yes, I can. Article 4, Section 3 is a very simple article. It's actually a beautiful article. It's an article for the people. It says new states may be admitted by the Congress into this union, but no new state shall be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor any state be formed by the junction of 2 or more states without the consent of the state legislature of the state concerned as well as that of Congress. We need a 51% vote in the state legislature, and we need 51% in Congress. We don't need the governor, and we don't need the president, according to Article 4, Section 3.
So now, what are some of the difficulties you've experienced up to this point?
The difficulties are status quo politicians who are tied into the state capitol, and they cannot imagine in their wildest dreams to do something different to help their own people. We actually had a guy in Lake County today, Supervisor Jeff Steele, and he made the statement, I represent the state of California, not the people of Lake County.
Wow.
And we had another supervisor who said, I wouldn't vote for this even if the people approved it by ballot, because he would like to be a state assembly person someday.
How long do you see all of this taking until it becomes a reality?
We're going to submit our legislation for separation at the end of January in 2016. So we've got about 1 year to go. What we're doing now, we already have 7 counties. We've already got enough to get going. But what we'd like to do is we'd like to give every county in Northern California the opportunity to say whether they're happy with the highest taxes in the nation, the worst representative ratio in the nation, the worst schools in the nation, the worst debt in the nation. And we'd like each county to say whether they'd like to try something different and give them that opportunity. So we're going to leave that window open until the end of January 2016, and then we're going for our legislation.
Now, you touched on this, but maybe if you can talk about how you envision the politics of the state of Jefferson being different than the rest of California.
Well, that's easy. First of all, our state will have 1 state senator for each county, no matter how big, no matter how small, and our state will have at least 1 assembly person for each county. We will have a part-time legislature. We don't need 571 state agencies regulating every breath we take. We will have a constitutional framework that protects the individual, protects his right to property, and protects his ability to use that property to make a living for himself and his family. And that Constitution, by its very design, will be extremely hard to change so that the next load of politicians can't just turn it into little California.
Mm-hmm. Do you see California defaulting on its debt at some point? And is the economic situation part of the reason why you're breaking away from California?
You know, the economics are indicative of what's wrong with this state and every other state, by the way, and I'll just touch on that in a minute if you like.
Sure.
But that's not the reason. The reason we're doing this is lack of representation. We cannot affect events in any way, shape, or form because we have no representation on the state level. And taxation without representation, we had a pretty big fight about that in 1775.
So go ahead and touch on the economics.
Well, the economics are easy. California claims that we're poor here, and we're not. When you look at the history of California, we have been impoverished by the regulatory processes of the state of California. For example, when timber harvest, healthy stands timber harvest was the practice in California, Siskiyou County paid for the sheriff's department, the road department, and the public instruction department just off of healthy stands management, not clear cutting, but responsible resource use. According to the state's attorney general and the Six States Initiative, we got a lot of free research out of that, by the way. The state of Jefferson owns about 96% of the resources in the state of California. So we're not poor. We've simply been locked out of all of our historic businesses by regulatory practices of people who don't know us and don't care what happens to us.
Yeah. What can people find at your website, jeffersondeclaration.net?
Our main website is soj51.net.
Okay.
And jeffersondeclaration.net is kind of a blog. That's current events. On SOJ51, they can also find the financial viability model, which demonstrates that the state of Jefferson will not be the smallest state, it won't be the least populous state, and it's certainly not going to be the poorest state. Our projections are that we're fiscally viable from the very first day with no place to go from there but up. California's economy has been a train wreck for 50 years. And what we're asking counties is, do you want to do the same thing for another 50 and hope it turns out differently, or would you like to try a new approach with representation for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, is there anything that people outside of the state of California can do to help your cause?
Well, there are not only things they can do to help our cause, and when we travel and do all of these things, like I was in the car 12 hours day before yesterday to give a 20-minute presentation, we're doing this out of our own pocket. We don't ask for any money. I wouldn't take any if somebody offered. But at some point, we're going to get to a court case. And if people would like to contribute to see liberty restored to our state and give that possibility to every other state, there's a way to contribute on SOJ51.net. Any money that people contribute will be used either for printing, publicity, or legal fees. Now, the reason I say that is because there was a Supreme Court opinion that put all states in the same basket that California is in today. Some states have handled it a little bit better, but we're all in the same boat, and that is the Reynolds versus Sims opinion. And what that did was the court gave itself the power in those three cases, starting with Baker versus Carr, and then Gray versus Sanders, and then Reynolds versus Sims. The Supreme Court gave itself the power to intervene in state politics. The Supreme Court gave itself the power to say that the federal model of government, in other words, the federal Constitution, is unconstitutional. And the court gave itself the power to say that all states will conduct elections based upon schemes supervised by the court. It was the end of state sovereignty, quite frankly. And so what we hope to do, because it's possible the state of California will simply ignore us, we hope to set aside that Reynolds opinion, or at least change the remedy so that representation must be expanded to the point that every county has some.
Wow.
And the reason we can do that is because the court went on to ignore itself twice after Reynolds, and I'll read you something. Here, this was a case in Wyoming where Niagara County had a very small population, and they lost their state representative. And they sued to get him back, and they won. And here's what the court said. The opportunity for oppression of the people of this state, or any of them, is greater if any county is deprived a representative in the legislature than if each is guaranteed at least one representative. That was a decision after the Reynolds opinion. So we have the opportunity to get back to a federal model of government where every county has representation, and the rest of the states of the Union can join us in that if we're successful in setting aside these opinions.
It's probably a lot like a domino, where if one domino falls over, the others will follow.
I'm telling you, Bruce, this is so important to restore liberty and constitutional republic, because what happened after Reynolds, the dissenting justice said, and he rightly predicted, if we do this, we will create, with the one man, one vote principle, so that both houses of a state legislature are simply rubber stamps for one another, we will create an entirely city point of view. And what we had before, like the federal government, each state has 2 senators, small ones, big ones, sparsely populated, densely populated. We had checks and balances. We had checks on the unbridled power of the people. And those checks ensured liberty for the minority. And that's what we want to restore. A state senator for each county, restore the federal model of government, and it would change politics in this country forever.
Yeah, we think if we vote left or right that will solve the problem, but actually we just need to take the power back to the citizenry.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I go through my entire presentation to boards of supervisors, town hall meetings, I don't care. I never mention the word political party. I'm not even a member of one.
Yeah.
I don't care what you want to do with your liberty. If you're a Democrat, a Republican, a Libertarian, I don't even ask. I don't even want to know. I don't care what your issue is. Whether you want marijuana or you don't is irrelevant to me. That's up to your county to decide. But what I want is, I want your county to have the power to address the state legislature no matter what it is you want to do with that representation.
I think we all can agree on that. Mark Baird, and again, the website is soj51.net. Mark, in closing, is there anything else? Is there other ways that you can be contacted, or anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I'll tell you, if people would like to ask me questions, I'd be happy to give you my phone number right now. I do this all the time. If you want that, I'll be happy to do it. And my closing remarks are, the time has come for 51.
If you're okay with that, then that's
I'm
fine.
Okay with it.
Okay.
My cell phone number is 530-227-6729. And if people have questions, if people in other counties want to start a movement like this, if people in other states want to start a movement like this, please call, and we will tell you what worked and what didn't work, why we're doing it, and why we need to do this.
Great. Mark Baird, soj51.net. Check out that website right now, soj51.net. Mark, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you, Bruce, and I'd be happy to give you an update anytime you want one.
Great.